welcome back to Talk with TQ. I'm always very happy when you come to see my show. I have the most interesting guests that I can find, and I look for them, the most interesting guests on the planet. Tonight, I'm going to have a wonderful guest. He owns a company called Clean Slate. He's a tattoo removal specialist, and he's got many locations, interesting clientele, and it seems that there's a need for this. He's doing very well. His name is Jeff Garnett. Welcome, Jeff. How you doing?
Hi, I'm well, thank you.
Good. So tell me, I remember when you first just spoke about this, and then all of a sudden you had one store, and we had your partner, your wife, on our show, and it seemed that things were going fairly well. She told us a story or two that was interesting, and we learned some things about tattoo removal. But I'm very interested to find out, from your point of view, about the tattoo culture and how your company fits into it. It seems to be unusual if you don't have ink, you know?
There's been a massive culture shift as far as the acceptance of tattoos, and it's just gone from this kind of taboo, thing that was frowned upon for so long. Now it's just a global obsession. And if you look at, of course, generationally, it varies, but if you look at age 18 to 25, for the first time in the US, more than 50% of the population has at least one tattoo.
Wow.
So you're now a minority if you do not have a tattoo.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, so why do you think most people come to your business to have them removed?
Wow, there is such a wide range. You do have some people that get a tattoo immediately, don't like it and panic, but that's rare. Most of the cases, it's something that someone got something maybe kind of when they were younger and thought it was cool, but then they grow up and they get a different job or get married and have kids, and you change, you outgrow things, and things change. One thing we remove a lot of, names, ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends. It's one mistake that people just make over and over and over again.
So why do you think people do that? I never understood it. I understand it. It's something that I guess it's kind of like a fleeting thought in the mind. If you're sucked up in the whole fog of lovely limerence and you're in love, and you just don't think clearly. But what is it? What do you think it's really, from your point of view?
I mean, it's hard to say. Being around the tattoo industry, it's for so many years now, it's always been, we all say, oh, it's taboo. Like, do not, there's a joke that it's kind of like the kiss of death. And you hear these stories about people who, they were together for 10 years and then they got a tattoo and 2 months later they break up.
Wow.
It's like an omen. You shouldn't do it, but people do it all the time. And you see even people that will have, they'll have 2 or 3 different names on them from over the years. But look, I don't judge anybody. The whole reason we have this company is because of the stupid tattoos I got when I was a kid. And I'm 46, I started getting tattoos the second I turned 18. But when I was in my 30s and I had kids and I was different places, I still love getting tattoos. I'm getting new tattoos in 2 weeks. But just my taste has changed and the quality of the tattoos have improved so much that it's just the stuff I had from 20-something years ago. I don't want it anymore.
Well, what signifies the quality of the tattoo, like the improvement? Like what properties have improved? Is it the art or is it the process or?
All of the above.
Oh.
So now, keep in mind, 20-something years ago, you would go, there'd be some pictures on the wall, you would pick it off, they'd put a stencil on you and basically draw a two-dimensional, almost like a coloring book type what they call flash art. And that was what a lot of tattoos were for quite some time. Now that it's become such a mainstream industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry just in the US alone, the quality of the inks have improved. The quality of the machines have improved. With the internet, just learning from each other's techniques, technology like iPads and things and Photoshop and Procreate allow people to design very elaborate tattoos before they put them on. But there is a financial component, whereas, fine artists, really talented fine artists who really might not have even been into tattoos, might graduate from art school now, and they look at ways to monetize their talent. And selling, as well as I do, selling a painting is very difficult.
Yes.
But they can go and get a job as a tattoo artist and make really good money. So it's now attracting just the fine artists that weren't necessarily part of the tattoo culture before.
Right. It's interesting. I wonder if they're actually doing the tattoo directly on skin, or are they licensing their designs?
Both.
Oh.
So there are people that will design and can be hired as a freelancer to design a tattoo. And then there are other artists who do it themselves. And you'll see there's some people that are good tattooers that might not necessarily be good artists. There's a different skill set. So they might take a stencil and put it on and still be able to tattoo something amazing. And then you have other people that will freehand tattoo it. They'll sometimes draw it with Sharpies and stuff and then tattoo over it.
Wow, that's amazing. I really do respect the culture. I don't have any tattoos, but I do respect the culture because I am usually, I'd say, captivated by the designs that I see on people's bodies. I know at the gym, it's if you don't have a tattoo, male or female, you are definitely a minority. Can't just say it.
It really has changed so much. One example I do like to tell people that shocks people is that when I started getting tattoos, I got my first one in 1991. So tattoo shops were illegal in New York City at the time. So if you were in the city, you had to go to kind of an illegal underground shop, and it was really frowned upon. Now, fast forward to 2020, not only are there a million tattoo shops in New York City, but even Saks Fifth Avenue, one of the highest end retailers in the city, has a resident tattoo artist.
What?
That's how much the culture has changed.
No way.
So, the client base has changed significantly. So whereas before you have, there was a whole military component, there is, kind of the thug component, and then there was the, just regular artists and stuff. Now it's everyone. You go to Saks, you're gonna see, some hedge fund manager in there getting a tattoo and things. It's everyone.
Wow, that's like something. Yeah, well, like I said, I actually like them, but I do know I've spoken to people who have done things where they try to actually cover it up or change it in a different design. And I've seen them, and they tend to look a little bit sort of like nothing.
It's hard to do a cover-up. But I mean, the general industry term is called a cover-up. So if someone looks at a tattoo and says, I don't like this tattoo, I want to put something over it, you generally have to go a lot bigger and a lot darker. So even when someone has something really dark, like a tribal tattoo, like in the 90s, everyone was getting tribal tattoos. So you had these big surface areas with bold, saturated black ink that was really, really difficult to cover because you can't really tattoo light on top of dark.
Right, exactly.
You can tattoo dark on top of light. So in those cases, we do have a lot of clients that we work with that they're not anti-tattoo. Several of our locations are in tattoo shops. So we'll work with the artist, and what we'll do is it's called pre-cover-up lightening. So we don't have to remove a tattoo completely. We'll just lighten it up enough to give the client and the tattoo artist much better options for the cover-up and the new tattoo.
I mean, no one even knows about these kinds of intricacies. But I have to tell you that I'm also very impressed at your expansion,
Thank you.
I mean, I think it's interesting that you started small. Like, was it a business plan you had in your head? Did you have this business plan in your head and this is what you had planned to do, or did it just kind of happen?
I did have a plan, but I started out as a customer. It's very cliche, but I was working in a whole different industry, but I started getting better quality tattoos and started to dislike my older tattoos. And so my wife, Mary, who you've met, had worked at a dermatologist, and she said, why don't you get them lasered? And I was surprised. I was like, that really works? So she was like, yeah, check it out. So I started doing some research. This was 10 years ago. So I found a place in Manhattan, and I went and I got lasered, and I hated it. It was just a miserable experience. The whole way they handled it, and the technology wasn't as good, and I got scarred, and I was like, screw that, I'm never doing it again. But when I say it's cliche, it was, somebody should figure out a better way to do this. And that's kind of when I just got obsessed with it, and I did write a business plan, and it had multiple phases. We're gonna open up one, at that one, we're gonna get really, really good at it, and that's gonna be the proof of concept. Then we're gonna replicate it a couple times, get those going, and then we're gonna expand nationally, if not internationally.
So it required also for you to do so much research about the actual science behind it.
It's fascinating.
And Mary did talk a little bit about that, as I recall. You guys are very well versed. I don't think people realize it. I know that there are people that have other techniques, that don't involve lasering, but I think that from what I learned from Mary, there is no other way to really do it. Something about the picas.
Picosecond, that's a type of laser.
She said that some inks that are older are more difficult to remove than the newer ones.
It can go both ways, actually, because now that it's big business, the inks are better quality, because you now have scientists in labs trying to figure out how to make ink that won't fade, which makes it harder to break down, whereas some of the older ones would fade over time. I mean, the whole challenge has always been, if you have layers of skin and you have ink stuck in the middle layer of skin, how do you get the ink out without breaking the skin? Because if you break the skin, you're gonna scar. You don't want to scar, you just want it to look like you never had a tattoo. So if you go to a plastic surgeon and have them cut it out, that's called excision, it'll remove the ink, but they're gonna be left with the scar. So when someone burns it out, or there's this saline technique that people do now, it will remove the tattoo, but it's left with a nasty mark. Whereas the laser is attracted to pigment, so it goes through the top layer of skin without breaking it, and it breaks up the skin, and then your immune system comes and flushes it out.
So that tells me there must be something magnetic in the ink.
Well, it's pigment based. So do you know, like, in the summertime, if you have a black shirt on, you can really feel the sun?
Yes.
So same thing, black pigment absorbs light energy. And so black tattoo ink is actually the easiest to remove.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes people hear, like, with hair removal, like if someone has dark hair, it's easier to do laser hair removal than if someone has blonde hair or really fair hair, because it doesn't absorb it. Like yellow ink is one of the hardest colors because it reflects.
Yeah, I would never even think about these things.
It's
So what'd you do? Go to like laser tattoo removal school training?
I did, and we learned a lot there, but we still are continuing to learn. Where we've learned most, because we do things, our protocols are a little different than most of the industry, but we've evolved. We now do thousands and thousands of tattoos a year, and we study the data and we study the results, and we're constantly learning new and better ways to do it.
Wow, and your clientele is quite diverse, I understand.
Every race, religion, income level, all kinds of stories. Some are really silly, some are really stupid, some are tragic and really sad. We do donate our services to some causes just to give back to the community. We work with victims of human trafficking who have property of tattoos. We work with a few like reform gang members who have really made some huge efforts to turn their lives around and are working really hard to stay on the right path, but they still get judged. I have a really impressive young man who I'm working with, and he had really rough upbringing. His dad was murdered when he was a little kid, and he got caught up in gang life and drugs stuff, and he went down the wrong path, and he has a lot of face tattoos. And now he's, he met the right girl, got on the right path. He got a college degree. He's in this specialty real estate program. He's working hard, supporting his family, going to school at night. He's been clean for 7 years, goes to church every week, but he goes to get a job, and they see his face tattoos, and they don't see the man that he is today.
Yeah.
They see the kid that he was, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we donate our services. We're clearing up his whole face, neck, hands. and
Wow, that's
everything.
really good. It's always important to give back. I know,
Absolutely.
I think it's for anybody, I just consider it the right thing to do, especially when you're dealing, in a way, you're kind of an artist when you take these things off. You have to be able to understand the sensibilities of the person that you're working
Absolutely.
with. Yeah. So that's really something, because I think a lot of people would think that what you do would be something that was very much just for the money.
Look, it is a growing business, and I am a for-profit business. It is how I earn my living right now, but there is more to it than that, and it does feel good. I mean, this guy's mom came into my shop and gave me like this huge hug, and like I got choked up. It was a very special moment, and we have a lot of those. It feels great. I work with cancer patients when they have radiation tattoos. We'll remove those for free.
Yeah.
And the appreciation, you see, it takes us 2 seconds to do it, and you see that this person has this daily reminder that they have to see every day that reminds them of this really difficult time in their life. It really feels good.
I think there's a psychological component to something about tattooing your body, putting something permanent on it, I can't imagine what it's like to have some property of.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. I mean, if you have someone who is a victim of human trafficking, they've already gone through atrocities. They've gone through so much, so much horrible stuff. And if they manage to be brave and get themselves out of that situation, they still have severe PTSD from it, and they're trying to move on and lead a regular life. But every day, they come out of the shower and they see that tattoo. It's a daily reminder.
Yeah.
And even sometimes when they cover it up with another tattoo, they still, they know it's there. And those are cases where we'll laser someone and they just see that it's making a difference, and they get very emotional. And it's...
I can imagine, you're doing good stuff, I always feel good when I talk to a business person that's doing well in business, and at the same time, they're giving back to the community, and you're doing that, and I think that's really important. So let me ask you another thing, because speaking about your business, you've been a very business savvy person, okay? I know that you do some work with the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and I don't know if it's volunteer work, but you have an expertise, and I'm wondering if the expertise played into the success you have with your business right now.
I think so. I work with the SBA, has a program called SCORE, which is basically a group of retired executives who have skill sets and have built businesses, and they want to give back, and they work with entrepreneurs and help them either get their businesses started or act as almost like consultants and help them solve problems. And there are SCORE organizations all over the country, I believe. I work with the one in White Plains, New York. And when I was first starting my business, I went and met with them, and there was a wonderful advisor named John who gave me some guidance, and I really appreciated it. And it's just, they didn't charge me anything. It's just him trying to do the right thing and give back. So as my business grew, I got much better at Google AdWords, which is it's a difficult but very effective skill set. And you said, did that skill set help me become successful? I think Google AdWords was a huge part of my company's success, but I got good at Google AdWords in building my company, and I learned through a lot of trial and error, and I made a lot of mistakes, costly mistakes, but I licked my wounds and just kept pushing through, but I learned. And so now I will, once a quarter or so, I'll go to SCORE and I'll give a presentation to their entrepreneur groups about how to use Google to get sales and get clients and get leads, and how to use it properly, and how to kind of avoid the mistakes that I've made. For some reason, they love hearing about the mistakes. It's not so I can talk about the strategies and do this and do that, and then as soon as I'm like, oh, this one time I screwed this thing up so bad, and everyone perks up and they love it. They want to hear it, but it helps. Hopefully, my mistakes saved them from doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. They kind of get turned on by the mistake. Yeah, SCORE is an excellent organization.
Yeah.
They must be really happy that you're there. Because I do know you as a business person, first and foremost, and there's been sort of an evolution. And look where you are now. It's like you're doing Clean Slate, but I remember another company, but you always had sort of like an instinct, almost like you had your ear to the ground and you know what's going to happen next.
Well, thank you.
You know,
Thank you very much. Yeah, we met, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I was selling websites.
Right, 21 years ago.
So funny.
Yeah, that's right. That was the beginning of the dot-com era that turned into a dot-bomb. But you knew it was happening. I always said, you just knew. You knew it was over. Somehow. Do you find it's just an instinct for you, right? You have instincts.
I think I always do try to look way ahead and see what's happening. And when I look now, and I know that when the tattoo industry was small, you still had about half the people who had tattoos end up not liking them after a while. And now that I see that the tattoo industry is huge, I still say half the people are going to want to get these removed at some point.
You're right about that. And that was because I guess you see yourself as part of the collective and you wanted to get yours removed.
Well, I'm still getting new ones put on, but they're always improving. So, a lot of my clients are still really passionate tattoo collectors. And if you were someone who has been a passionate tattoo collector for 20 years, you probably don't have that much space left. And that could be very frustrating when you have 20-year-old work, when the work now is so much, it's so nice, So a lot of those people just want to not to be corny, but get a clean slate, and shake the Etch-a-Sketch and start over again,
Yeah. Oh, Clean Slate, that's the name of your company. That's an excellent name. And I just find the whole culture of, being tattooed, looking at tattoos, removing tattoos, it's very fascinating, And I think that there are probably more people listening to this right now that have tattoos than don't.
Hopefully.
I have a feeling. I think I'm right.
I love them. It's self-expression, it's art, it's fashion, it's music, it's pop culture, it's everything all combined. And you see, when people have a tattoo that they love, they feel good about it and they do it. But when they have one that they don't, it can be really depressing and stuff. So we just try to help keep everyone happy.
Do you ever have people come in crying like, what did I do? What was I thinking?
I do. A lot of times, if like microblading goes wrong or something like that. A lot of people are getting eyebrow tattoos now, and when they come out right, they're great. But when they come out wrong, that's right on your face. That's a tattoo on your face.
Yikes.
Or they have their boyfriend's name, and then they catch him cheating on them or something like that. And they have to look at that every day.
Oh, man, no, I can't imagine. Really. I think that most people that really are not into this, and they would be kind of neophytes to it, I hear it with women friends, and they always say, I wouldn't mind getting a little flower. And it's like, and I always say it depends on where it is, You want to have it in a good spot. I'm just saying. But I also wanted to ask you this other question. I once had a client that was in this business of doing tattooed eye makeup. I don't remember the name of the client, but they would tattoo eyeliner. As a matter of fact, there are women that are doing that to this day. I know a woman, she's, on the planet now in the neighborhood, and she had tattooed eyeliner on herself.
It's called PMU, it's permanent makeup, and it's a huge industry. It's growing more and more every day. We can, if they do a poor job at it and it doesn't come out right, we can't do eyeliner. We can't laser eyeliner because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You're lasering that close to the eye. So anything inside the optical cavity, we wouldn't laser. Or anything, if someone put some color on their eyelids, we wouldn't laser that. We can do eyebrows or microblading. And I see I feel horrible for some of these girls and women who, their eyebrows are a little thin, they want to get it fixed up, and they go to someone who's not that good, and they end up, I've seen people where it goes through their forehead or just is too thick, like almost like, I'm not making fun, but like like almost like Groucho Marx, like thick eyebrows, and that's not something you can really hide, and it affects their self-esteem. It can lead to depression, and they call in a panic, and usually they call as soon as they get home. Now we can't even laser that right away. We have to wait for it to heal. So you want to wait like 6 to 8 weeks for it to heal before you can even start lasering it. And then it takes multiple sessions. So they call in a panic, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can help you, but this might take a year to remove it completely.
Yeah. So they have their only alternative would be to put on like cover-up makeup, which exists, but still it's not going to be. It'll still be weird.
Yeah. It's rough. That's why I'm like, I mean, I understand it, and that's just one of those things that I'd say if someone's going to do it, do your research, go to someone, look at their before and after pictures. Don't go for just like the cheapest artist on Groupon or whatever it might be. You know, if you're gonna tattoo your face, like I'm not telling anybody what to do, but my advice is to be really, really selective.
And sleep on it before you do it.
Yeah.
Sleep on it. Give it a little thought, you know. Ugh, I wonder if Mike Tyson regrets. Nah, he doesn't. He looks all right. It's okay.
His tattoo is an icon, though. You know,
Yeah.
it's it's in movies and all kinds of Hangover and stuff. Like it's.
No, I'm not laughing at Mike.
Not me either.
No, not me. It's all right. He looked good. Mike, you look good. But anyway, this is really good. This is a great talk.
I always enjoy
I can't believe I know
talks.
you. I didn't know this much. And I'm really very happy for you and your success.
Thank you so much, Tony.
It's a tremendous thing, you know.
I've always had nothing but love for you.
It's likewise. The feeling is mutual. And, one day I'll get a tattoo. I will.
When you're ready, you let me know. I'll take you to a great artist.
Really? Okay. Just as long as he doesn't sting me. Ouch.
It'll be worth it. You'll love it.
Really? Okay. Okay, so I'll be able to get that battleship on my back. It'll be good. I can't wait to show it off. Anyway, thank you, Jeff. This is great. Your company is Clean Slate. How can we find you?
Websites, www.cleanslatelaser.com. Home office in White Plains. We have offices in Manhattan, New Jersey, Staten Island, Huntington, Long Island, and we're about to have our grand opening in Brooklyn in 2 weeks.
Wow, Brooklyn, that's where everybody lives. Yep. Yes, I learned that when I was in Maine once. Anyway, this was great. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, and thank the audience. Thank you, guys, always coming. I really appreciate that. And, I'll come up with another guest for you. I promise, because that's what I do. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Bye.